All right, guys, it is now day 2 in Madrid. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a cold, so I had to take a couple days. This is my second tourism day. We're gonna be exploring the city and getting into some stuff, so I'm really excited to share with you guys. All right, guys, it's Don here in Madrid, and I am downtown. Took the first train from my apartment, and currently I'm looking for things to do. I have some plans to film some stuff later tonight, which will be up on the channel. But as it stands right now, it's just cold and nothing's open. So I ran into this yesterday. I had a little bit of a cold. A lot of things don't open up here till around 8 or 9. So it's kind of like the polar opposite of the United States, where restaurants and bars, or not bars, restaurants, coffee shops, whatever, usually open around 6. And here it's, even downtown, it's like 7 or 8. Some places even 9. Some tourist attractions don't even open till 11. So don't know where this video is going to go, but we're going to find some things and hopefully share with you guys on the channel. So stay tuned. So a lot of the monuments obviously are 24/7. It rivals DC in that way, in the sense that you can always visit the monuments. And this one behind me is actually of Miguel de Cervantes in Plaza España, which is kind of close to the Gran Via part of downtown, which is in one of my previous videos. But what makes this one so cool for me is the fact that it includes a statue of Don Quixote and Sancho. Now, Cervantes, of course, was the author behind these works that spawned both musicals, I think a full-length movie, which was also a musical that I watched in Spanish class back in the day. But the thing that always intrigued me, for those of you who don't know the story of Don Quixote, he's an old man who one day dreams of being a knight, and he takes off on a horse and a donkey with his partner Sancho, and envisions a world that's better than what it actually is. He dreams the impossible dream, which is the famous song from that. It's also where the term chasing windmills comes from, because there's a famous section in the book in which Don Quixote attacks a windmill because he sees it to be a monster, a dragon, I think. It's been a while since I've read the book, but it's a fantastic literary work. There's many iterations of it in all kinds of different vernacular. It's been transcribed, probably into 1 billion times. But Sancho, my steed, let us go. Now, in addition to just being public plazas, this is actually near a lot of the government buildings. And I'm going to do some separate videos on government buildings here and some of the palaces, something I want to actually check out. Excuse me, still fighting this cold. But it is to see the history down here and the way the buildings are compared to like a lot of American downtowns, which, let's face it, are just kind of block buildings. A couple of them have unique designs, right? But it's still very old school Spanish colonial architecture down here. I guess it's not colonial if it originated in Spain, but the Spanish architecture is truly something to behold. So again, everything's divided into plazas, which are generalized public spaces, which is incredible because, again, in the United States, we kind of don't have that. The town square, even in like bigger cities, we have parks, but they're not heavily utilized. They're not necessarily places that we hang out. And like, we're in Plaza Santo Domingo now. There's no monuments or anything like that. But it is like a nice little area. There's got things for the kids to do. And it overlooks some of these old architecture buildings. And it's just something different compared to whenever you're in a place like the US. And I know that a lot of my commentary is very US centric. I'm gonna make a step down here. But it's because that's where I grew up, you know? So just to see the stark difference between the two is, I don't know, it's just something kind of interesting. So another thing that you kind of realize right away is you don't have to be car dependent here. I mean, obviously people drive. You see this guy coming here, there's cars all along the street. But in general, most of these European major cities and even some of the smaller towns are walkable. I know that I lived in a very small town by the name of Dover, Ohio, and in Dover, it was you had to have a car. It would make going to work very difficult, and even in like major cities, like in Ohio, for instance, Columbus. Like Columbus has, yeah, they have a bus system, but it's very unreliable. and it's not very robust. But here, I mean, including the metro, right, which is a big help. Train systems are a huge thing. But in general, like, the city's very walkable. You can find stores, markets, I mean, music shops over here. Whatever you need is usually within your neighborhood. And they're self-contained, which is kind of neat. Now, so behind me is the Royal Palace of Madrid, the Palacio Real de Madrid. And this is the castle, basically. It's the Royal Palace. Now, this is a public thing that is open to the public. You can actually enter for, I think, 12, 13 euros and do some tours. Unfortunately, there's no photography allowed, so we won't be recording that today, though I might still do it. But this actually holds over... Hey, buddy. This actually has 135,000 meters squared total floor space, which is about 3.4 million feet of floor space, and has over 3,400 rooms. I mean, it's just massive, and it spans massive amounts of room. So just reading some key facts and figures from this, I found that it is actually styled in classicism and Baroque architecture. And you know what they say, if it's Baroque, don't fix it. Now, this isn't where the president actually lives, or I'm sorry, the prime minister. What this is kind of where they host state-sponsored events, summits, things like that. And yeah, it's completely different from our White House, but it's actually stood here since 1735. And I mean, obviously the United States wouldn't even come for 60 years later. And so, I mean, this has been around for a long time, and, you know, it's open to the public. There's all kinds of free space. You can walk up and touch it. Whereas some of the, you know, fancier things that the United States has, or like places we have for summits and whatnot, you can't even get near because they close it off. Additionally, this area surrounding it has all been changed into like a public grounds and park. You have people walking their dogs, as you guys heard them barking. These magnificent statues of these features of historical important people, for lack of a better term, I guess. And all this beautiful shrubbery. I mean, it's truly a sight to behold. You can't understate the beauty of what something like this brings. All right, so this is kind of the front of the palace, which we're gonna get as close as we're gonna get without setting off some security guards to come get us. But you're just amazed at how, I mean, an iPhone that you're shooting from doesn't really do justice to just how massive and intricate the details are. This would be the courtyard in here, and it's just a sight to behold. Funny story, somebody told me this. In the 1700s, they actually had a fire which caused a lot of damage in the 1700s to this, and actually they lost a lot of lives because the fire alarms were confused with bells calling people to mass. And so, I mean, when you think of all the things that, like, the history that this place has seen, I mean, it's been here through wars, revolutions, dictatorships, democracy, and it still stands here and is open to the public. That it's insane to think about. So like I said, unfortunately we can't go in. A, they don't allow photography of any kind, and that would include videos, of course. And B, there's actually a state-sponsored event, so they have big signs up, hey, we're closed, yada, yada, yada. But it's still really cool to see from the outside. Like, I compare it to, it's probably not even really a comparison, but to the architecture of the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Like, but it's a beautiful day here, and I love it. And over here, you can see the landscapes in the background of the city, same behind it. Now, I'm actually somewhere over here in Usera, but the mountains that surround this area, which you're not really getting a good focus of because the bars keep getting in the way. Like, Spain is such a beautiful country in the very little that I've seen of it. Like, it's absolutely breathtaking. So Spain's immigrant population actually stems from Latino America. In my short time here, I've met a bunch of Colombians from different parts of the city. I just had photos taken by some Argentinian ladies. They were wonderful people. But as you can imagine, this is a good jumping off point for those who want to immigrate to Europe. And once they're in Europe and have European Union citizenship or whatever, they can actually move freely between all the other countries. So there's actually a very large Latino population here. Now, right across from the palace is a cathedral. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't know shit about this. I just kind of stumbled upon it. You can enter it. I'm waiting for it to open at this time, but we're going to go check it out. But again, architecture is something else to behold here. It's something that you just don't see anymore. Now, knowing what I know about Europe, I'm guessing that this has a diverse history in the Catholic Church. Basically, Catholicism ran Europe for most of its history, as well as in its influences in Latino America as well. I don't know if you know this, Jesus is pretty big here. But yeah, like the things that religion inspired. I mean, whether you're seeing Mecca or you're seeing anything like that, it's just something crazy. Look at that, got my boy Jesus walking on water out there. The original wave runner, baby. You guys can see we've got another angle here at the cathedral. I mean, it's just massive. There's no other word to like describe it. So Madrid's founding actually dates back to 854 or 871 AD. And surprisingly, it wasn't founded. It was founded by Muslims. That's part of history that I don't think is really taught. At one point, they were worried about the Strus. I'm not pronouncing this right, so history buffs, please stay with me. But they conquered, the Muslims took over the city and founded Madrid, M-A-J-R-I-T, and built a fortress around it. The city of Madrid was military in nature and had walls like this that surrounded the city in about 2 kilometers. Now, in 1085, the Christian armies came through and pushed out the Muslims from this area. And what you're seeing in front of you is what's known as the Muslim Walls, which is one of the last areas that still stand from that time period. It's a relic of the past, and Spain's past as a predominantly Muslim country, or at least the city of Madrid, rather than the country of Spain as a whole. There's a nice little park here. It's not open right now. We can't get into it, but this is something crazy. Like, that's a part of history I didn't know. You know, I think in the United States, we kind of tell things from a Christian perspective, and not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but like, I would have never known that had I not taken the time to stop and Google what these things were, or read the little plaques that they have here. But yeah, I mean, that's just, think of the history that you don't know. And history historically has been written by the victors and has entered the ethos, like in our minds, of, oh, well, it was always the Catholic Church, when in reality it was Islam that was first founded here. And here is, I mean, a reconstructed model of what that looked like. The walls surrounding the city, that was used basically as a major fort. you guys just saw, there was a military procession out here. Kind of remind me of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in the U.S. Even here you see like this colonial get up on horses, and I'm not gonna lie, you have no idea what's going on, but it's pretty cool to witness. So while we can't get in the palace today, the grounds are open, and one of the cool things that they have here is the palace gardens. So we're gonna be checking that out, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So you can see it's right outside the palace. A lot of sculpture and shrubbery, and flowers too, obviously. But we'll be checking it all out as we go through here. Oh, we got some dogs too. Got a beautiful little reflecting pool here. It's just so serene and peaceful, and awesome looking with our castle right there. Just, wow. So in addition to the main paths, they have these little side paths that you can come in. And it looks like there's fountains there that may or may not be working. This one doesn't look to be. But yeah, you could get lost in here just searching around and trying to find cool stuff. So we've had an incredible day. We saw the Palace of Madrid. We saw the statue of Don Quixote. We saw the cathedral, the Muslim walls, learned about Muslims founding this place, and really Madrid's got a lot of corners, like that's a fraction of what's here to see. So guys, that being said, we're going to close this video down for today. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll be here for 2 weeks by the time this video posts, so if there's anything you want to recommend in Spain, drop it in the comments, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again for watching.